I understand that Final Fantasy VII is one of the best games of all time. It's just not my thing, and I don't think it looks good anymore. Welcome to Hot Takes with Jake. I'm your host, Jake Simmons, and today we're going to be going over your guys' hottest retro gaming takes. Starting with one of my moderators, DC, the PS1 and N64 generation produced worse looking games than the SNES generation. Ooh, I have to agree here. While there definitely are some good looking games on PS1 and N64, I think that the 16-bit generation is a very good looking generation of games, and it's a look that's still emulated in games to this day. Pixel graphics are just good looking, I don't know what to tell you. And as someone who hasn't really experienced a ton of the PS1 and N64 generation, from what I have seen, it just hasn't aged well. I'm sorry, but this just doesn't look good nowadays. I think it's something that probably looked great on a CRT back in the 90s, but now on an HD TV, even emulation, I think just makes it look worse. This generation is the beginning of 3D graphics, so it's hard to pit it against something that's so well defined in that 16-bit era. Like, that was the peak of pixel graphics. And then boom, we have brand new technology, brand new landscape. It's kind of hard to compare them. I just don't like the whole 3D model on a 2D plane. It just doesn't look right, especially with HD graphics. No hate. I understand that Final Fantasy VII is one of the best games of all time. It's just not my thing, and I don't think it looks good anymore. But the remake looks phenomenal. So, there's that. 16-bit games just hold up better. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much for that hot take, DC. It's a great way to kick this off. But let me know what you guys think of this take in the comments down below. Please be civil. But while you're down there, if you do have a hot take like DC, please leave your retro gaming hot takes in those comments down below. And maybe if we continue the series, then I'll pick your hot take from the comments down below. How many times will I say the comments down below in this video? Very Nook over on Instagram says Zelda is overrated. That is a very broad and loaded hot take. I don't really have a horse in this race. I'm working on finishing at least one Zelda game. My first experience with Zelda was Breath of the Wild. I bought it because I had just bought a Switch and there were 3 games in total for the Switch. So I tried it. It wasn't bad. Got 2 of the Divine Beasts, and that is where I ended it, and I have not touched it since. And then I thought, why not try the original? That worked well when I tried the original Mario. I don't think that game holds up at all. Sue me. Now I'm trying to play through Ocarina of Time, and I enjoy it so far. I'm just not that far into it. I just don't think Zelda's for me. I don't think it's overrated. It's just not for me. I still want to give it a fair shot. It just hasn't really grabbed my attention like it does for other people. I will say that Tears of the Kingdom looks very fun, and I've really tried to hold back on buying it because Lord knows I will never finish it. Let me know what you guys think. Sticking with Instagram here, we've got JBoy Mod saying GoldenEye is kind of booty. He didn't say booty. I totally agree with this one. Not to just take a huge dump on the N64 games here, but last year I went to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, which was a lot of fun, and I'm probably going to go back again this year if you want to meet me. They have a bunch of consoles all over the floor that you can just go up and play. And me and my friends went up and played GoldenEye 007 on the N64. It was really bad. As someone who's played way too much Call of Duty in their life, it just doesn't age well. I could see it being super fun at the time, but unless you have the nostalgia for it, it's just not good. I'm sorry, it's not. I love James Bond. I love first-person shooters. I do not love the N64 controller, especially for this game. First-person shooters need a second stick. I need it. People are not going to like me for this one. Sorry. I guess this episode's just all about the N64. I also asked people to respond over on the Discord, and Brux, who runs the server, says, other than the terrible joystick, I think the original N64 controller is good. And that one hurts in here. I don't like that controller. I think my favorite part about the N64 controller is that when I describe it, I can use the word wiener and it makes sense. But these controllers are made in the present and don't have a wiener in the middle to grip onto. As much as I dislike that controller, if you're playing an N64 game and the developers had this controller in mind when they made the game, it's not a bad controller. For example, I don't know when this video is coming out, but I'm currently reviewing this thing, the Powkiddy X55, and I'm trying to play N64 games on it. Man, it doesn't It's not the same. Having a modern control scheme for the N64 games doesn't really work out, in my opinion. It depends on the game for sure. To me, the only real exception is the Brawler 64. I like that controller a lot, but even then, for some games, it just doesn't feel quite right. So, yes, I agree. That's also just my problem in general with emulation is like I just can't play GameCube games with a standard layout. I need a big fat A button. I don't know, man. The N64 controller is good for games that had it in mind, but I would not use it with any other console. Let me know what you guys think in those comments down below. This is just the episode for hating on the N64. Jack the King says the N64 had horrible graphics and doesn't have the bestest games everyone says it has or hidden gems. I played many games for it through emulators and on my Pikachu N64, and it's all just meh. I can't blame it too much because I like to call that generation just like the teen stage, the tween stage, the puberty stage of gaming. It was the beginning of a new era. It was like the beginning of the modern era of video games. 3D was new on the scene. Nobody really knew what to do. They were all trying weird things, and it wasn't really perfected until the GameCube, the PS2, and the original Xbox. And from there, we've really just been making good tweaks and graphics are slightly more crisp. I definitely think that there are some good games on the N64. Definitely things like the Zelda games, Super Mario 64. I really haven't played that many N64 games. I like Pokemon Stadium, but at the same time, that is just like Pokemon. It's just Pokemon battles on a home console, which is cool, and I love that, don't get me wrong. But it's not really the N64 that made that game good. It's Pokemon. But then you have things like Mario Party, who launched on this console, and I think that is one of the best series in all of video games. I love Mario Party. Mario Party 7 is my favorite, just saying. That's a hot take in itself. There's definitely a lot of good that came from the N64. I just don't think it's aged as well as a lot of people think it has. Just another friendly reminder, this is all in good fun. We all love video games. We all have our own opinions. Just be nice to each other. If you like this video, hit that like button. That will let me know if you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making this video, and I would love to do it again, but I can't do it unless you tell me more of your retro gaming hot takes down below. Maybe let's throw some hate at some other consoles that aren't from the N64 generation. Feel bad for the N64 fans out there. But I feel like I should end this with one of my hot takes. The PS1 is kind of pointless to own when the PS2 and PS3 exist. I said what I said. But anyways, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later, guys. That would be a great video itself, seeing what like the new generation, the younger people think. Wow, I just called another generation younger people. Does that mean I'm officially old?